We are today joined by Barry Harwick, class of 77. What was it like having your indoor season end and then basically your two-season sports kind of abruptly finish right after that, which has never been the case before?
I think abrupt is the correct word there. We got back from the indoor HEPs and students were going into the winter term finals. That's traditionally a period where we let the students take a break from practice, they get through their finals, then we start getting people geared up for our spring trip, which is really the kickoff for the outdoor season and everything there. And during that time, everything was incredibly chaotic about whether the spring trips were going to happen. In the meantime, all of our students went home. Since we had a little bit of a gap before we left on our spring trip, the kids were all kind of gone. So we were making contact with them via Zoom, via calls, via text, as opposed to in person, which is never really what you want to do.
Did you maybe hold some individuals back a little bit on the indoor season, knowing that, well, we can get them ready and be more prepared for the outdoor season, planning for a year or a season of competition that never happened?
A little bit that certainly happened there. There were some people, we were putting together our HEPs roster because the league limits you to how many people we can take. And for certain students, we did do that. Said, look, you know what? They're better off just resting, getting healthy, and training right now, so they'll be 100% for the spring. There weren't a lot of students, but a few fit into that category.
You mentioned those spring trips. Really, that's a time period where your team kind of can coalesce and change focus and start on the outdoor season. What's that been like for you, I guess, maybe as a marker of time, really, in the year for you, is that switch from indoor to outdoor without having it?
It's tough for everybody in the roster, all 100 plus men and women, but it's probably the hardest on the people in the technical events. So a lot of our athletes in the technical events, this really hurts them a lot. And then I think psychologically, we were not satisfied with our performance at the indoor HEPs at Cornell, but we really thought as a team we would be significantly better in the spring. So there's a sense of frustration across the board for every team at Dartmouth, no more than us for sure.
One of the things I think about when I think about your program particularly is how late into the year you go. Track and field programs are going into June in terms of NCAA East Regionals and NCAA the championship meets. That's kind of a time period where you get all the shine and really your top end student athletes are ones out in the limelight, kind of beating the drum for Dartmouth.
I think that's a very good point. I mean, there were a lot of people that we really expected to have tremendous outdoor seasons there. It's really frustrating that those students didn't have a chance to show not just their other teammates and other people in the track and field world, but in the overall athletic community, that we do have some really talented people in our program, and that was just a missed opportunity.
Another obstacle that you guys faced this year was losing Coach Sandy, a beloved coach and figure. For these seniors who have such a traumatic final year in Hanover, what are your hopes for them and what they can look back on?
Well, you're right. I think traumatic is not an over-exaggeration for a lot of these students felt. And there was no sense of closure. A final outdoor HEPs is just incredibly crucial to all the seniors. And then even our end of the year banquet is something that I think that our seniors really look forward to because they all have a chance to speak. And it would have been very emotional this year because I'm sure that almost everyone would have said some story or recollection about Sandy. So that made it really hard. The interesting thing is that so many of our seniors just are not ready to call it quits. We've had a record number of our seniors go into the NCAA transfer portal because they have eligibility left. And that's something all the coaches on our staff have spent a lot of time helping these students to be able to continue their careers.